Hi, welcome back to my classroom again. And we're back at the time zone map. Now, we're talking about daylight savings. I just want to quickly show you something. This is the equator. Now, if you look at how far south we are from the equator and you go the same distance north of the equator, then you see that Europe, the European countries, are much closer to the North Pole than we are to the South Pole. And maybe that will help you to understand the reason for daylight savings. Now, the easier way to understand the reason for daylight savings is when you think of a school in the Karoo, for example. In the Karoo, we have, in South Africa, we have extreme temperatures. There are places where it gets extremely hot in summer. 40 degrees Celsius is nothing strange to them. But in winter, it can easily drop to below zero, like -5 or something like that in places like Sutherland and Oudtshoorn and many other places in the Karoo. Now, what they do is they change the school hours between the summer seasons, the summer terms, which is the first and the fourth term of the year, and the second and third term, which is the winter terms. So in summer, for example, the school would start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and at 1 o'clock they all go home because it's so extremely hot. They do homework, they take a power nap, have lunch and so on, and then at about 4 o'clock they'll come back to school for their summer sports, like cricket and athletics and so on. But in winter, the school starts at 8 o'clock. Their home time is around 2 o'clock, and immediately after school, they would do their sport, and then they would go home for homework and supper and early to bed, because tomorrow morning they have to rise again in the cold and the dark. So if you compare that to the countries in Europe, then you maybe more easily understand now why they exercise daylight savings. Why? There's a certain time of the year, like you read just now, where they turn their clocks an hour forward, and another time in the year where they turn their clocks an hour backwards to accommodate daylight savings. In other words, to make better use of the time between sunrise and sunset.